this is the video review of a month with the Cupra Born VZ. I've had this car for a month now, and I'm going to take you through some things that I don't like, some things that I quite like, and some things that I really like. Okay, number one is the brakes. When you first get the car, if you're not used to the way that EV brakes feel, or some EV brakes feel, then it's on the verge of dangerous, because the pedal feel is completely different. You will press the brakes in, most of the time it will just vary the level of regen, and it will feel fine, and then something brakes sharply in front of you and the pedal feel after the regen is completely different, where you have to give it a lot more pressure. If you give it a lot of pressure, it works fine, but you have to get used to them, and it takes a little bit of drive in it to get used to that, and for it to not be a thing that you have to think about. Number two is this A-pillar with this little porthole here, and this A+1 pillar. The visibility is definitely reduced there, and sometimes you go around corners and you're having to move a little bit like that just to see through. That's obviously a feature with all Borns and ID3s, which is going to be exactly the same. You can get used to it, but the visibility is definitely reduced because of that. There we go. So this corner, I'm having to look around the bits of rain on the side there where the wiper hasn't quite got to, and then I've got the rest of that section there that I can't see very well through. Number three is this, the way that you can't turn the speed limit monitoring on or off, and it won't let you add it to your favourites permanently, so you can quickly turn it on or off, which means that anytime you want to turn it on or off, you have to go deep into the settings, which while you're driving is more of a distraction. Like most of these regulations, it ends up the net effect being worse than what they're trying to combat, but whatever. On the not so good list, the app, my Cupra app, is a little bit unreliable. Certainly on Android, I'm not sure what it's like on iOS. I use Octopus, Intelligent Octopus Go with an Ohmi ePod charger. You get a lot of notifications overnight where Cupra says couldn't charge, or random other messages. Sometimes with the app you have to force close it and open it again, and it's okay because it's got stuck. Or you get messages overnight with charging where it says that it couldn't start a charge, or the car couldn't be controlled. It still charges fine as long as it's green at the start when you plug it in. As long as the green light comes on, then it's okay. If you plug it in, unplug it quickly and plug it back in again, it can get confused and the red light stays on, then it will never sort itself out. If you leave it a minute or so, unplug it, wait for everything to reset itself, plug it back in, it's fine. I guess that's another feature of EVs. I think that's it for all the things I don't like. I don't really notice anything bad about the windscreen wipers. I know that somebody in a previous video said that with the Borns and the ID3s, because in right-hand drive it swapped around the rain on this side of the window for a bit longer. I don't really get it, but possibly. Next on the dislikes is the head-up display, and this is just more of a personal preference thing. I don't feel that it gives me anything, so I've started to turn that off now and leave it off, because it's nice to have the graphics overlaid for the for the directions when you're doing navigation. Other than that, it's all the information it gives you, you don't really need to know in front of you the whole time. Okay, on to the good things. Cupra mode was like, wow. It's just ludicrous. And that traction control is so good as well. You bury the throttle and it just flies. Cupra mode is so good. Go 60 in no time whatsoever. It's just incredible. 0 to 60, I've timed it a few times, is pretty much bang on 5 seconds, I think. Maybe slightly less. The performance, the power of the motor, torque is just excellent. It pulls smooth, it pulls hard, it's absolutely fantastic. Next thing that I like is the sign monitoring and the road monitoring and all of the things that it looks at the cameras in front of you and picks up, and then alters the regen for you to slow you down in time. Like here it spots the 30 sign and it's put more regen on just to get me to 30 by the time of the sign. And then it spots roundabouts, it spots corners. It's a really advanced system. Adaptive cruise control is also integrated with all that, so that all works really well. And now on to things that I really like. The suspension again, or the weight distribution of the car, which means that the handling is incredible. I've never driven a car that handles like this before. And I'm sure a lot of it is because the weight distribution of the car, you've got all of the weight only just above the ground, which means that it doesn't feel like ice cars where you go around a bend and you turn and the car would lean and then you'd sit in the lean as you turn around. This doesn't lean. You turn and it stays flat and it just turns, and it's a different feeling to conventional internal combustion engine cars. But it means that it gives you so much confidence when you're driving around windy lanes such as this. On the fairly ambivalent side, these buttons, they would be better as physical buttons that you press rather than Volkswagen Auto Group trying to be too clever and make them semi-capacitive touch buttons where you don't actually really press them, you just rest your thumb on them and just give them a light bit of pressure. Trying to be too clever for their own good, I think. Now, as for driving dynamics, yes, you can get the rear end out and you can drift it a little bit. To do that, you mostly have to put it into ESC Sport mode, but on a rainy day like this, I'm sure that if I give it some kick around a corner, even in just normal ESC mode, it will do a little bit of semi-drifting. That was a 0 to 60. The ESC is really good. Just then give it a little bit of power to upset the back end. As I was coming around a tight corner and it just held it all in. And there, again, turn tight, put your foot down, it doesn't let the back end go anywhere. So in comfort mode, it is one of the most easy to drive, most comfortable cars will ever find. The suspension is very comfortable. The steering is precise and confidence inspiring. The SC works very well, but when it's in the SC Sport mode, it lets the rear come out a little bit, then reins it back in pretty quickly. All in all, the driving experience is absolutely fantastic. And things like the reduced visibility around the A-pillar and the feel of the brakes are just minor annoyances that don't detract at all from the rest of the car.